Wow, when did you buy a thong, Wendy? Hunter asked loudly, holding the offending underwear he had just discovered wedged between the box spring and the side rail of their bed. It looked like dental floss attached to a piece of burgundy-colored silk. At first it excited him, but then he realized that it was not new and clearly unclean, not to mention the fact that he had never seen it before. I did not hear you. What did you say? She began, entering the bedroom. Oh shit. Her face turned pale, and she covered her mouth with her hands. What do you mean, oh shit? And then, realizing, his legs suddenly went weak, and he collapsed to the floor. He looked at her with an empty head, and she looked at him with panicked despair. Hunter, honey. She tried to think of what to say, how to explain. Hunter turned away from her. He lay on his back on the floor, staring at the ceiling. The room seemed to revolve around him. Wendy knelt next to him, crying, I'm so sorry. She held out one hand, hesitantly, but when he flinched, she pulled it back. You are cheating on me? He asked in stunned disbelief, still looking at the ceiling. Please, Hunter, let me explain. Explain? Explain what? You're cheating. What's there to explain? I cannot believe this. Obviously, he means more to you than I do if you don't want to dress like that for me. But for your lover, will you? Please, no, it's not like that. No, sorry if I don't believe you. Just leave me alone. I can't look at you right now. She cried even harder, but left the room. He didn't know where she went, and at that moment, he honestly didn't care. At first, he planned to just lie there on the floor of his bedroom of discontent, but something made him stand up. He quietly went downstairs to hear muttering from the kitchen. He stood there, looking at her as she cried into the phone. He knows. What do we do? And then she saw him. I have to go. Oh, that's just wonderful, Wendy. The first thing you do is call your boyfriend. Just damn great. I think that shows where I stand. Realizing he was still holding the thong in his hand, he threw it at her. They fell into her lap like a dying butterfly. She looked at them as he grabbed his keys. Hunter, wait. We need to talk. Where are you going? But he was already out the door. He needed to talk to someone, so he called his brother and asked to meet him at Killian's bar. It was a sports bar with cliched Irish decor, but he was nearby and the beer was cold. Yes, of course, I just need to tell Jackie. Give me half an hour. Thank you, brother. I wouldn't ask if it weren't important. 45 minutes later, Hunter's older brother, Reggie, walked in. Sorry, dude, RD threw a fit when I grabbed my keys. I had to calm him down. I promised that you would come to visit. I don't know why this child loves you so much, he added. Reggie Jr. was Hunter's nephew. Because obviously I'm the fun brother, Hunter said, a little smugly. But his heart wasn't in it, and Reggie noticed. The waitress brought them their beers, took Hunter's empty mug, and took their appetizer orders. After taking a sip of his beer, Reggie asked, Okay, little brother, want to tell me what's going on? I don't know how to say this, so I'll just say it. He took a deep breath. Wendy is cheating on me. His jaw dropped. Can't be. Maybe, Hunter replied. Damn, man, Reggie shook his head, looking around. Hunter, are you sure? Yes, she practically admitted. Practically? I was too angry to stay and listen to the details. I just left. Damn it, Reggie breathed and leaned back in the booth. What are you going to do? Do you need a place to stay? Yes, I think so. Just for this night, I don't want to put you in an awkward position in front of your wife. Thank you. He turned on his phone and sent a quick text to Wendy that he would be at Reggie's and that she should not come there. He had several messages from her. He read several, all apologies and requests to return home. He ignored the others and turned the phone off again. Jackie was understanding, and Hunter was distracted by playing with his nephew. 4-year-old RD was a sweet kid, and Hunter adored the little guy. And he loved that RD asked Uncle Hunter to read him a bedtime story. After he fell asleep, the three adults sat down to talk. Hunter told the story again for Jackie. I'm so sorry, Hunter, she sympathized, hugging him. Well, I'd like to say it's a complete surprise, but she always seemed, well, a little selfish to me. Hunter looked at her in surprise, and she continued, I never mentioned it because she's your wife, and honestly, I never thought she'd go this far. I swear. Wow, Hunter croaked, covering his face with his hands. Reggie put his hand on his shoulder. Just let us know what we can do, Hunter. We are here for you. He looked at his wife, and she nodded. Besides, RD loves having you around, he chuckled. He's a great kid, Hunter admitted, and thanks, I appreciate you both. They talked a little more and then said good night to each other. Hunter tossed and turned, and then fell into a restless sleep where he dreamed that he was stuck in Alfred Hitchcock's film The Birds, but instead of being attacked by birds, he was surrounded by flying thongs. He woke up tangled in the sheets, gasping for breath. It took him a long time to fall asleep again. Without a plan, Hunter returned home the next morning. When he walked in, Wendy was sitting at the kitchen table, looking despondently into her cup of hot treason. Or maybe it was the coffee. She jumped up and went to him. I'm surprised you're here, he said rather sarcastically, stopping her. Is your lover busy with some other woman of easy viability? Please don't be cruel, she began to cry. Don't be cruel? You're kidding, right? Anyway, why do you care? What do you mean? Why is it important? You are my husband, and I love you. Hunter laughed without joy. You could have fooled me. I love you, she whispered. He looked at her. I don't have a lover, she finally mumbled. What the hell, Wendy? You can't expect me to believe that, not after yesterday. She took a deep breath. Can I try to explain, please? I don't know if you can, he spat out, not sparing the sarcasm. She ignored it. Do you remember about 2 months ago, we were supposed to meet for lunch at that little inn next to your office, and you had to cancel at the last minute? Well, I was kind of mad at you, so I went there anyway, and there was this woman there, and we started talking, and she asked me to meet for lunch again, and it became our tradition, and then, it's like, it just happened. Her face was crimson. Wendy, I told you, my boss didn't give me a choice. Wait, woman. She nodded, lowering her head. These things are not mine, they are hers. Hunter plopped down in a chair, running his hands over his face. What the absolute hell is this, Wendy? Since when do you love women? Shouldn't you have told me about this, I don't know, before we got married? Damn it. First of all, I love both men and women. As if you couldn't understand that I like having sex with men, well, you after all, I married you, you fool. Well, he couldn't argue about it. He remembered the wedding and the honeymoon. Imagine the sound of a turntable needle scraping vinyl. Hunter stared at her. It doesn't help much. Well, I had 2 girlfriends and 1 boyfriend in college. Not at the same time, she quickly added when Hunter raised an eyebrow. Remember my roommate Blair? Well, oh shit, were you with her when we were dating? No, Hunter. When I met you, I told her I was starting to have feelings, and we had a big fight, and she moved out. A small light went on in Hunter's brain. Yeah, now I understand why she always looked at me like I was dirt, he muttered. Yeah, sorry. You didn't deserve this. This made him angry. So what's different this time? Why do I deserve this now? He asked, crossing his arms. Her face turned white. She couldn't look at him. Yes, that's what I thought. Damn it, Wendy. I'll go for a ride. He went to put on his leather jacket, grabbed his helmet, and jumped on the motorcycle. A few hours later, having calmed down a little, he returned home and found her sitting on the couch, staring into space. The television hummed quietly in the background. So you let this woman seduce you? She looked up at him and sighed. I promise I won't lie about it, Hunter. Never ever. Yes, I guess I did it. I can't explain it. There's just something. I wonder how much you resisted, if she resisted at all. She lowered her head. So, not much. Damn it. Does she know you're married? She lowered her head. I told her I was getting a divorce. Well, you're right about that. She swayed. What? No, please. I don't want a divorce. Then why in the world did you tell her you were getting a divorce? Looking increasingly ashamed, she whispered, she said she wouldn't date a married woman. Damn it, Wendy, you're lying to both of us. Just great. She sobbed quietly. He leaned back in his chair. So what's your brilliant plan? You say you don't want a divorce, but she'll find out you're still married, won't she? Don't know. Are you planning to continue dating her? She looked at him desperately. I would. Like. He threw up his hands. Damn it. She shuddered. What about me, Wendy? What about my feelings? Have you thought about me at all? I didn't treat you differently. Nonsense. When was the last time we made love? We just made love the other day. No, Wendy, we had sex the other day, and only because I practically begged you for it. We haven't made love. How long has it been since you met her? 2 months. Her mouth fell open. Yes, tell me again that your feelings for me have not changed. But I can fix it. I can do it better, I promise. Certainly. You get all the sex you want, and I lie here every other night imagining you with another woman. Please don't be rude. Oh, sorry. I love you, I really do. She just gives me what you can't. And you give me what she can't. What is this? What? What does she give you that I can't? You never told me or gave me a chance to fix it. Because I don't think you could fix it. Sorry, it's just different. I love sex with you, and you're big and strong, and I love the way you take care of me and make me feel safe. I have absolutely no idea what I am to you right now. I love you and I need you. I want us to be together, just not all the time. Please, why can't you understand? To understand that, you just told me that I'm not enough for you. How do you think I feel? You completely humiliated me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I can't control my feelings. I love you, want to be with you. I just need her too. He laughed bitterly. So you want to have your cake and eat it too? He laughed bitterly. Do you understand what I just said? And eat it? Wendy stared at the floor. Do you love her? He finally asked. And no, I think not. I think I could. Sorry, I said I won't lie anymore. Damn it, Hunter cursed. Wendy, I can't take this anymore. He went into the guest room and collapsed on the bed. He felt her watching him from the doorway, but he ignored her. Finally, he heard her footsteps slowly walking down the hallway to no, not anymore, her bedroom. The next morning, he got up early and started writing a note. He thought about all the things Wendy had said. In her head, she truly loved him, but she was so caught up in this exciting new relationship that she lost sight of how much she had cut him out of her life lately, and he wasn't going to stand for it. He wrote and crumpled and wrote and crumpled, and was looking at the blank page again when Wendy came down. Her eyes were puffy, and she looked terrible, but Hunter was sure he didn't look any better himself. She looked at the trash strewn across the kitchen floor and the backpack by the door. Were you going to leave me a note and disappear? She asked sadly. I don't know what I was going to do, he replied, no less sadly. But I think I need some more time to. Well, think, he finished awkwardly. Okay, she whispered. Baby, I swear, I love you. I'm sorry for hurting you. Enough to stop hurting me, he had to ask. But really, the damage had already been done. She was silent for a while, but finally said, Can I think about it too? While you're thinking. A lot of thoughts are going around, he joked, and Wendy smiled faintly. I'm not going to disappear. I'll let you know where I'm going. But I'm telling you, I can't stand by and be a part of this. You must choose, and even if you stop seeing her, I'm not sure we can fix it. You understand this, don't you? I'm sorry, she whispered. Yeah, I'm sorry too. There didn't seem to be anything else to talk about, so he picked up his bag and headed towards his brother's house. Maybe he'll take RD to the park or something. This little guy always cheered him up, and now he really needs it. It's been just over a week since Hunter discovered his wife's infidelity, and he's no closer to a solution. He tried to focus on work, but it was a lost cause from the start. He was in a Monday morning meeting when one of the other department heads suddenly called out to him. "What? Hunter, were you even listening to what I was saying?" It was Colleen Marsali's, and she looked at him with irritation. He worked with her for a little over a year, and she was an exemplary employee. He respected her. But somehow it became clear to him that on a personal level he knew little about her. "Sorry, Colin," he apologized. "I'm having a bit of a rough day. More precisely, a little difficult week." Their boss watched their interaction for a minute, then sighed. "We're almost done. Let's wrap this up so you two can resolve your issues." "Yes, sir, sorry," Hunter admitted. He nodded, took his laptop, and everyone began to leave. Colleen walked up to Hunter and touched his hand. "Hunter, can you stay a minute?" He stopped, looking at her expectantly. "So what happened? Clearly something is bothering you." He was a little surprised. They had never had a personal conversation before, and her obvious empathy seemed uncharacteristic. He looked at the floor, then sighed. "Can I buy you lunch? Not what I want to discuss here." "Half and half," she replied, grinning. "I don't want you to have any ideas." Agreed. They were able to resolve the issue Colleen had tried to explain earlier, and she thanked him and returned to her department. At noon, she looked into his office. "Ready?" "As good as ever," he said, and they walked outside and walked a few blocks to a quiet restaurant. After 2 glasses of iced tea, unsweetened for him and sweet for her, arrived and her order was taken, Colleen leaned back and looked at him. "Okay, spit it out." Um, Colin, first. Can I ask why you're doing this? I mean, I appreciate it, but this is the first time we've talked outside of work." She looked away before answering. "Yes, that's fair. I'm not sure, to be honest. Well, at the meeting you looked like someone killed your dog, so that's it. Then, well, like you said, I realized we'd never talked, and I just thought, maybe you need some friendly support. And to be honest, I know I come across as a bit of a bitch at work. I've honed my perpetual bitch face after all." Hunter held back a laugh as she continued, "And maybe I wanted to show someone that that's not the case. So yes, I'm trying to help, but there are also selfish reasons." He was shocked. He didn't dislike Colleen, but he considered her an all-work, no-rest kind of guy, at least up to this point. And he was grateful that she reached out. It wasn't going to be easy. He quickly changed his mind about her. He gave her a small smile and asked, "Do you want me to fill you in, or just lay it all out at once?" "Get out of it all at once. I'm an adult." "Okay, remember, you asked for it." He gave her a weak half-smile. "I found out that my wife is cheating on me." Her eyes widened. "Damn it. Oh, Hunter, I'm so sorry." "Thank you." "Have you talked to her about this?" "Yes. She said she didn't mean to hurt me. She's sorry. She still loves me. She wants to stay married. And blah, blah, blah." "Wow. Have you already decided what you will do?" "Not yet. I told her that I needed time. She said she needed to think about it too." "Oh, damn, she doesn't want to give up on him, does she?" "Her." "What?" He laughed quietly. "I said that too. It turns out that she loves women too. She had several relationships with women before we got married, but I didn't know about it. I think she met this woman and," he made air quotes, "it just clicked." Colleen shook her head. "Damn it. How long does this last?" "I don't know for sure, but even if it was just one time, I don't know. She says this woman gives her what I cannot. To be honest, I don't know how to feel about this. If it had been another man, if she had chosen another man instead of me, I would already be looking for a lawyer. But a woman, how can I compete with that?" Quietly, Colleen asked, "Is this a competition?" Hunter was surprised. How can it not be? "You can't let this become a competition. If you let it, no one will win." "You need to explain this to me, Colin," Hunter said with a puzzled look on his face. "Just be the best husband you can be. Show her what she stands to lose." "But it feels like a reward for bad behavior. and I'm not sure I can be that person knowing what she does. Colleen nodded. Understand. Sorry, I don't have any better advice right now. Their food arrived. Hunter picked at his plate, watching Colin eat. It was the first time they spent time together outside of work, and he noticed that she was very sweet. In the office, she was always focused and wore a very serious expression on her face. But now she was relaxed, and the eternal wrinkle between her eyebrows had disappeared. This changed her entire appearance. She had what he called an elfin face, with a sharp chin and an expressive mouth. She had shoulder-length brown hair with curls at the ends, which she usually wore slightly to the side. Bright blue eyes. You don't wear glasses. She looked at him and smiled, but didn't answer, just continued eating. Secretly looking at her now, he noticed that she had no rings and seemed to have strong, slender arms. She was dressed in her usual conservative style, wearing a light sweater and trousers that covered but did not completely hide her small breasts and slender figure. The sleeves were rolled up to the elbows. There was no trace of perfume coming from her. He realized that he was furtively looking at her, and with an effort he tried to stop. Luckily, she either didn't notice or ignored him. I hope it's the former, because she didn't seem annoyed, just focused on my food. Finally, she pushed her plate away and looked at him. You must eat, Hunter, she said, not without kindness. He nodded and took a symbolic bite. He made a sound of pleasure, rubbed his stomach, and she laughed. Hunter was amazed at how much it changed her face, and realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd heard her laugh. He wanted to hear it again, but then her phone beeped and she glanced at it. It's time for us to go back. Oh damn, you're right, he signaled to the waitress and asked for a takeout container and the bill. Thanks for that, Colin. Can we do this again sometime? I think talking to you helped a little. You were great. She looked at him appraisingly. Certainly, no problem. He couldn't resist adding, I guess we won't call you Cersei Lannister anymore. Indignantly, she screamed, Who calls me that? Laughing, he raised his hands. Nobody, I swear. I'm just teasing. Asshole, she muttered, trying to help, and this is my reward. But she smiled. They paid the bill and returned to the office. Hunter tried to be productive for the rest of the day, and he was partially successful. That afternoon, he received a text from Wendy in which she simply wrote, Hope you're doing well. I miss you and love you. He was contemplating whether and how to respond when he heard a sound. He turned to see Colleen leaning on the doorframe, her arms crossed under her chest. Hey, he said, pleasantly surprised by her unexpected appearance. Hello. Look, I'm not sure why I'm suggesting this, but do you want to get drunk? He looked at her in amazement. What could go wrong? She grinned. He didn't respond to Wendy's message. So, should we drive from here or leave the cars with one of us and call a taxi? I don't think any of us will be able to drive. Colleen smiled. Yes, I assumed that we would both drink when I proposed. Although watching you getting drunk could be funny, she smiled. Let's leave the cars with me. Your wife might be a problem for you, she said dryly, and you can sleep in my guest room. You trust me? She nodded. Yes. She paused, thinking. Hunter, this is not something I tell people about, so please keep it to yourself. He nodded. I like women. I'm sure there are rumors at work. He really didn't know, but to his surprise, he didn't care. And I have a brown belt in judo and aikido. You can trust me, Hunter promised immediately, making a small cross over his heart. Colleen laughed. When she got to the bar Killian's again, she looked at Hunter and said, We don't talk about your relationship until we've had at least 3 drinks. I'll drink that, he grinned. Damn right. Beer, shots, and cocktails. Cocktails, PSSH, he snorted dismissively. How about a beer and shots? I like the way you think, boy. Everything except tequila. She makes my clothes fall off. She smirked at his expression. I'm just kidding. Have you ever heard this song? Joe Nichols, It Doesn't Matter. She waved her hand, seeing his bewilderment. When the waitress arrived, Colleen ordered a pitcher and 4 shots of Jack Daniels. "What?" he asked as his eyes widened. "I hate waiting for more." Hunter raised his hands, not sure what he had gotten himself into. Their drinks arrived, and Colleen poured them a glass of beer first. She then took one of the shots and nodded for him to do the same. "Let's think. What are we going to drink for?" She raised an eyebrow at Hunter. Stay positive and test negative, he took the risk. Colleen had to put the glass down because she was laughing so hard. He simply smiled, and when she calmed down a little, they clinked glasses and drank their first shots. She immediately took the second shot. "Can you come up with a better toast than the last one?" she challenged me. Will I offend you if it is a little vulgar?" She shook her head, her smile growing wider. "Okay, here it is." He raised his glass and solemnly said, "For stolen kisses and vice versa." She repeated it quietly to herself, trying to understand the meaning, and then threw back her head and laughed. "This is fucking funny, man. I'll definitely steal it." "Take advantage of your health, Colonel. I don't claim authorship," he grinned. For the rest of the evening, when the conversation died down, she muttered, "and vice versa," and began to giggle. They had a good talk. As they became more and more drunk, they got to know each other better. Hunter expressed regret that they had not done this sooner. Colleen nodded and looked thoughtfully at her mug. She explained that she tried to focus very hard on her work and kept everyone at a distance so that she would be taken seriously. "I can understand that. It's sad that the double standard still exists, and men don't see that, do they?" She nodded her head, pointing her finger at him vigorously. "Yes, exactly. You understand, dude. I have to work twice as hard and not allow myself to make mistakes." She took a long sip of beer and nearly missed the table as she set the mug down. "Well, I would apologize for the whole male gender, but I think it would be a waste of time, unfortunately." He shook his head sadly. She snorted. "Don't worry. It's nice to have one guy friend who understands." "Friends." Hunter nodded. "I'd like that." And he smiled sincerely at her, making her blush a little. They continued discussing the work, the project they were currently working on, the people in the office, then moved on to their hobbies and least favorite things. They both loved motorcycles. Hunter rode a BMW R1250 RT and Colleen had an Aprilia RS 660. "Wow," Hunter said, impressed. "It's a great bike. I rarely meet people driving these." She shrugged. "I like Italian bikes. What can I say?" "Tell me you'll go for a walk with me," he answered. She smiled and nodded in agreement, and they began talking about bikes and the relative merits of Ducati, Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, and Cagiva. She was surprised that he knew about the latter manufacturer since they were not sold in the S. She added, "Sorry, dude, no offense, but BMWs, they seem a little tame, I guess." "No offense, and I see your point. And I'm more of a touring sport bike than a pure sport bike. But I like to drive long distances, so it suits me. I bought it in hopes that bitch would want to ride with too, but she hates it." He shook his head regretfully. "Hey, we've only had 2 shots so far. Enough about this." Colleen slammed the table. Hunter nodded, and the conversation changed again. They discussed sports. He ran in school cross country and track and field, and she played soccer and basketball. They agreed that college sports are more fun to watch than professional sports. They talked about music and almost got into a fight when Hunter didn't recognize any of the country artists Colleen had mentioned. "Oh, come on. Have you ever heard of Tim McGraw, Luke Combs, Miranda Lambert?" "Who?" "Damn it, I'm not sure if we can still be friends after this," she sighed, crossing her arms. He laughed. "I'm just kidding. It's just not my tea, you know?" "Well, okay." She pretended to pout, and he chuckled. They finished their pitcher and started a second, plus 2 more rounds of shots, and felt great. The conversation wandered for some time, typical themes for 2 people getting to know each other, until Hunter finally blurted out, "It sounds crazy, I know, but I'll blame the alcohol." He sucked in his breath and exhaled. "Colin, Can you help me? She blinked at him. Help? How? I thought I was already helping. Well, yeah, you're helping, but I must be doing something wrong if this bitch is cheating on me with a woman. I mean, I know I'm drunk, so I'm probably out of my mind. He leaned back in his chair and ran his hands over his face. Ag, this all sucks so much. But what else could it be? Doubtful, she responded, Dude, I'm not sure you even understand how a woman's love works. Maybe yes, but what if I want her back? What can I do to show her? His face turned purple, but he continued. You think, maybe, you could show me what I'm doing wrong? She stared at him in disbelief. Wait, are you asking? Do you want me to teach you how to have sex with her? Hunter could only nod. You said I should be the best I can be. She leaned back and ran a hand through her hair. Dude, this is not at all what I had in mind. You know I want to help you, but damn it. Hunter chuckled. You said damn it. He was quite drunk. Colleen threw a napkin at him, but laughed too. Finally, she said, You're lucky I'm drunk, asshole. Call this taxi. They stood in her living room, looking at each other. Well, we'd better start now. Colin took off her baggy sweater to reveal a sexy green commie bra and, damn it, Col, you're pumped up. Hunter's eyes widened as he looked at her. It was true, he could see her flat stomach with her softly defined abs, and when she took off her shoes and pulled down her pants, he could see her matching thong panties over her firm thighs, perfect ass, and shapely calves. Now I understand why you hide all this. Nothing would get done in the office. She blushed. Thank you. I don't like to party, and I don't have kids, so I train a lot. I'll have to ask you to be my training partner, I guess, although I seriously doubt I'll be able to keep up. Sincerely, she said, I would love to train with you. You're not in that bad of shape, she added, her eyes sliding up and down his body as he took off his shirt. But when he started to take off his pants, she quickly turned away. Gah, stop, I don't want to see. This, she made a face and waved her hands. Oh shit, sorry. He put his jeans back on. It's safe now. Thank you. But she mentally added, I can't believe I'm even thinking about this. Meanwhile, Hunter looked at her nervously. So how do we do this? Should I just start right away? Damn it, I'm here to judge your skills. Damn, I can't believe I agreed to this. How drunk are we? Sorry, Colin, you don't have to do this. What about your girlfriend? He was surprised that he even brought up the issue. I'm surprised you brought this up, she said. He blinked at her as she continued. But that's nice of you. It's okay, we didn't agree on monogamy. And I promised to do this for you. Crap. Okay, let's get this over with. They had sex. Are you saying you are ready to give me another lesson? Or two? She grinned. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. After a while, he said, Thank you, Colin. I'm serious. Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. Then she began her post-coital showdown. She analyzed what he was doing. Now, enough talk. I am tired and want to sleep. You can stay here if you want, she added with a slight, was it imagination vulnerability. I would like to. I promise not to steal blankets. Shut up, dude. Good night, Colin. Hunter woke up before Colleen, after he remembered where he was, and a wide smile appeared on his face. He looked at her disheveled hair peeking out from under the sheet. She turned her back to him and breathed evenly. He was surprised to find that he didn't feel guilty at all. He slipped out of bed and grabbed his jeans. He'd taken them off before bed and went to the bathroom, where he cleaned himself up by splashing water on his face and found an aspirin. After taking for himself, he left the bottle and glass of water on her bedside table. He paused for a moment to admire her in her sleep. She really was charming. He stared too long, obviously, because without opening her eyes, Colleen muttered, Dude, you're scaring me. Sorry, he whispered and left the room. He headed to the kitchen and began looking through her pantry and refrigerator. Having found eggs, cheese, vegetables, and bread, he began to prepare omelets and toast. He heard the shower water turn on as he cut vegetables. About the time he finished the first omelet, she walked into the kitchen wearing a wrecker's t-shirt and gym shorts, her hair in a towel. "Thanks for the aspirin," she muttered. "My pleasure, omelet." "Irk." She made a face. "No, I don't think I can." He chuckled. "Understand. Do you have a container I can put this in?" He pointed to the unused egg and vegetable mixture. "You can cook it later if you want." "How about coffee and toast?" "Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks again." "Sorry for messing around in your kitchen," he offered as he handed her a plate and mug. "Are you kidding? Did you do all this for me? Dig in, how many do you want?" "The least I could do." After an awkward silence, he added, "So I'm sure you have things to do, so I'll just leave." Yes, sorry, but yes." She looked at him, barefoot in jeans, with disheveled hair, and remembered. She blushed a little and continued, "Hunter, we're okay, right?" "Absolutely. I'm serious. Thank you for everything. I really needed to get drunk yesterday, and well, then, damn, I'm bad at this." He ran a hand through his hair, and she resisted the urge to smooth it. "It's just, yeah, we're fine." He left her with her coffee, found his shirt and shoes, and finished getting dressed. As she passed her on the way to the door, she reached out and grabbed his wrist. He stopped, looking at her questioningly. Her eyes were downcast, but she turned towards him a little more. She removed the towel from her hair, then looked at him. "I'm serious, you know," she muttered. "Seriously, what?" "Last night, it wasn't that bad. I'm still struggling with it, to be honest." "About," he blushed, and she laughed, and then grabbed her head. "Oh, don't make me laugh." After a minute, she sighed and said, "I said I would help, and I don't go back on my promises." Wow. Then again, wow. Hunter thought for a minute. "You know, maybe we can spend the day together on Saturday. Let's go for a ride, have lunch at a place I know, and then—" He blushed again. She smiled. "Yeah, that sounds good." She stood on her tiptoes to kiss his cheek and walked him to the door. "See you at work?" "Undoubtedly." He smiled at her and left. Not knowing what else to do, he returned home. When he arrived, Wendy was sitting at the kitchen table, working on her laptop. She looked up. "Would you like breakfast?" "No, glad you're back," or "Where have you been?" which, frankly, would have just pissed him off. He simply said, "No, thanks, I already ate." "Oh, okay." They looked at each other awkwardly for a few moments, then Hunter said, "I'm going to go do some gardening." "Okay, darling." He winced at the word, but continued to go to the bedroom to change into old clothes. He mowed the grass and trimmed the edges. As he mowed around the back deck, she came out and interrupted him. "Hunter, I made you a sandwich if you want to take a break." "Okay, thank you. Almost finished. I'll be there in a few minutes." She nodded and went back inside. When he came into the kitchen, she said, I'm leaving for a little while, just wanted you to know." She was dressed a little smarter than usual for running errands. He looked at her, but she didn't meet his gaze. He just snorted, shook his head, and continued eating his sandwich. He was surprised when she returned an hour later. "What happened? Did something happen?" he asked with some sourness. No, nothing happened. My friend wasn't feeling well." "Your girlfriend. Is that what you call her now? Damn it, Wendy, are you going to date her right in front of me? Don't you see that this is a little disrespectful? How can you think that we will stay together?" "I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out." "Trying to figure it out." He shook his head again. "Have you told her yet?" She shook her head, lowering her eyes. "Because you know, if you tell her you don't want to divorce me, she'll leave you, right?" When she didn't answer, he threw up his hands. "I'm going to take a shower." 5 minutes later, Hunter stood under the running water with his eyes closed, trying to sort out his feelings. The rest of the week passed quietly. They went to work, returned home, had dinner, and went to bed. Sometimes they talked a little about their days. And Hunter had lunch with Colleen on Wednesday, and they finally agreed on plans for Saturday. They were both looking forward to the trip, and Hunter rather awkwardly asked if their post-trip plans were still in effect. She smiled softly and said that she was a man of her word. That evening, Hunter told Wendy that he was going for a ride with a friend on Saturday, and it would be a long day, and he would probably spend the night at their house. "Anyone I know?" she asked. "No, I do not think so. New person at work. Seems pretty cool." "Okay, darling. Then maybe I'll go somewhere too, if you don't mind." "Now you're asking if I mind." "I'm trying, Hunter. I try to be as frank as possible with you and not lie anymore. I know I messed up badly, and I'm desperately trying to find my way back to you. Sorry, but for this, I need to sort out my feelings for her. By further meetings with her, I already told you, Wendy, I can make the decision very simple for you. I might just leave and never come back. Then you won't have to choose." She started crying. "Please, please give me more time. I love you. I really am. Ideally, yes, I would like to have both of you." But she won't stand for it. Wendy shook her head. "Then why do you think I'll put up with it?" He paused, giving her time to think about it. When he saw that she began to answer, he interrupted her. "And here's another question for you. What if she agreed? Where would that leave us? You should talk to her, Wendy." He left her sitting there, lost in stunned awareness. On Saturday morning, Hunter got up early and packed his bags with a couple of changes of clothes and wine. He made sure to get a new razor. Wendy came downstairs as he finished and watched silently as he put on his leather jacket and picked up his backpack. "Be careful, okay? I love you," she said quietly. He simply nodded, started his motorcycle, and drove off. He stopped in front of Colleen's house, took his backpack and wine, and knocked on the door. She came out immediately, dressed for riding, with a backpack similar to his. "Should we put these inside?" He pointed to the bottles of wine. "Wow, cool." She took them from him and went back into the house. A minute later, she returned, and they went down to the street, and he showed her his BMW. She then opened the garage and brought her baby out. "Wow, fabulous. And a motorcycle, too." She smiled, then turned it on. His BMW was very smooth, but her Aprilia, with its modified exhaust system, sounded much more aggressive. Hunter nodded, smiling. "Damn, this is going to be fun." They had a great time. Light and nimble, Colleen's bike was perfectly controllable in the corners, and on the straights her slightly higher power to weight gave her an advantage there too. He didn't feel bad about going after her. She looked very sexy in her black and red leather jackets that matched her motorcycle. After an hour or so, Colleen slowed down, looked over her shoulder at him, and made a food gesture. Hunter nodded and took over as leader, directing them to what appeared to be a large log house tucked away from the road with woods behind. A dozen motorcycles were parked in front of him. The sign said, "Harry's Bar and Grill." They were seated at a table and they discussed the trip, enjoying beer while waiting for food. At that moment, a very large and hairy man entered the bar. He glanced at Colleen and walked straight towards her. "Hey, hottie, is that your Italian scooter out there?" She raised an eyebrow. "Don't call me that, Albert. You don't know me." She didn't add fat, but it was clearly implied. "Yes, this is my Aprilia." "I would like to get to know you better," he laughed out loud. "This little motorcycle is so cute. Here's my Vulcan, it's a real bike. 2000 cc of power, baby." The man laughed and grabbed his groin. "Seriously?" Hunter thought. He couldn't resist commenting. "Dude, my BMW has 20 more horsepower than your Kawasaki, and it's almost 60 kilograms lighter. Like me and you, if you think about it." Colleen giggled. "And her Aprilia just overtook me on the way here. Her bike would tear your pig apart." The big and hairy one blushed and began to move towards Hunter, but before he could reach the table, Colleen stopped him. Hunter smiled at her admiringly. "You weren't kidding about Aikido, were you?" She smiled back and then turned to the man. Will you behave? He started cursing. Damn it! Yes, yes, sorry, let me go. At that moment, a 5-meter fiery red fury flew out of the kitchen. Bert, she shouted, and the large man flinched. Wow, I guessed the name, Hunter thought. What did I tell you about pestering clients? Do you want to be banned from entering again? The man was at least a foot taller than her, 10 years older and 3 times heavier, but he lowered his head and began to pick at the floor with the toe of his shoe. Hunter couldn't remember ever seeing anything like this. No, Miss Audrey, I'm sorry. Apologize to her, Bert, not to me, she sighed, rolling her eyes in a long, pained gesture, hands on hips. Bert turned to Colleen. Sorry if I was rude. It's okay, Colleen answered calmly. The red-haired woman tapped Bert on the shoulder and then introduced herself. I'm Audrey, one of the owners of this place. Sorry for that. He didn't mean anything bad. Your dinner is at my expense. You don't have to do that, really, Hunter replied. I insist. She gave them a dazzling smile. Turning to Hunter, she remarked, I've seen you here before, haven't I? But not your friend. Yes, I've been here a couple of times. You have a great place. I'm Hunter, and this is my friend Colleen. The two women shook hands. Well, enjoy your dinner, and don't forget to come in. She smiled at them and returned to the kitchen. Colleen stared at Audrey's bottom as she walked away. Hunter snapped his fingers in front of her face. What? He just laughed and shook his head. Later in the evening, they repeated their classes. After a few minutes of comfortable silence, Hunter spoke. Colin, damn, I'm sorry if this confuses you, but why do you fascinate me so much? I was captivated by you even before I knew that you, well, you know. Do I like women? Her eyes sparkled, and she turned to him, leaning on her hand. He laughed quietly. Well, I never thought of you in that context, but yeah, but I also never thought of you as... You're always so serious at work. A little scary, to be honest. Damn, I don't know. Don't worry, I'm not in love with you, but I really like you, and I'd miss it if I couldn't see you. You mean having female sex with me? She grinned. He laughed. Well, it's true, I think I'm a little hooked, and I really like you. But what about social interaction? Hunter, I'm not sure that's a good idea. I still have a girlfriend. Is it true? Sorry. Does she know about this? Hell no. She's in the process of getting a divorce and doesn't want to give her ex any reason to be suspicious. Hunter thought about his situation. Have you met her husband? Oh, no. Then how do you know he's an asshole? Did she say that? Well, yes, and she gave me no reason not to trust her, Colleen replied. Of course you're right. I don't judge. I'm just asking. But he saw that she was thinking about his words. I'll tell you what, he said. As an apology for being an asshole, how about one more activity? I think my stamina is improving. Yes, it is improving. Get back to business, boy. One evening the following week, Wendy asked them to talk. Hunter, what will happen to us? Hunter turned his drink over in his hands. Sighing, he said, Nothing has changed for me. I told you what you need to choose. If you choose her, then we will get divorced. If you choose me, we'll still have to figure out how to get over your betrayal, if that's even possible. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is possible, but I love you and I'm willing to try. So, I'm waiting for your decision. I'm not going to wait long, though. And so they lived on. When Wendy left, Hunter spent time with his brother's family, much to Ryuji Jr.'s delight and Jackie's chagrin. Damn it, Hunter, she said one evening with irritation. You stirred him up, now put him to bed yourself. Hunter just laughed, hugged her, and said he would take care of it. Ryuji saw this and scolded his brother. Hey, are you starting to flirt with my wife now, brother? Hunter simply nodded, grinning, and Jackie blushed, throwing a pillow at him. Well, a decorative pillow. Both brothers laughed and Hunter whispered, You've found yourself a wonderful woman, Ryuji, and went to tuck his nephew into bed. Hunter and Colin were getting closer. They had been talking for a few weeks now and had gone a couple more times, once again stopping at Harry's bar. They walked through a park famous for its waterfalls and spent one day at a lake in another park nearby. They found pickleball courts and started learning how to play. Hunter joined her gym, and they began working out together. Plus, of course, lessons. But there was still uncertainty between Hunter and Wendy. She kept asking for time, and he kept telling her that time was running out. On Sundays, she left home. Hunter could only assume that she was seeing her friend. For a week, she tried to initiate sex, but he finally told her, "Wendy, not until you make a decision." Then everything escalated. One evening, Hunter was at Colleen's, and they were watching a baseball game. Well, Hunter was relaxing. The Pirates were beating the Braves by a landslide, but Colleen barely paid any attention. She was wearing a tight tank top and short gym shorts, sitting on the other end of the couch with her knee pulled up to her chest. She had been fiddling with her ponytail and casting glances at him for 20 minutes. Finally, Hunter sighed, slightly annoyed. "Colin, what's going on? What's bothering you?" He laughed quietly, realizing what he had said. She looked at him with displeasure, and then with some strange resignation she barked, "Damn you, you bastard." Hunter stared at her in amazement. "Why am I a bastard?" "Because, asshole, it's all your fault. You, with all this. You." She waved her hands up and down, pointing at him. "If we were just friends, I'd be fine. But sex, and all this with you. I know we agreed, but why am I starting to feel guilty? So now I need to know. Take off your damn pants." What?" He was completely puzzled. "Did you hear me? You don't have to do anything. I'm serious, as you said. Those were the conditions. I'm fine." She just stared at him, looked at his lower body, then back at him. "Colin, seriously. Take it off." Realizing that there was no point in arguing, Hunter took off his pants. "Colin, seriously." "Colin," he asked, taking them off and sitting on the edge of the sofa. She ignored him, quickly removing her clothes. Then she looked at him. "Why aren't you ready?" she demanded. "Damn it, Colin, it's not a switch. It doesn't turn on instantly. But what's going on anyway? Are you suggesting what I think?" "Shut up." They had sex. "You fucking bastard. I really hate you right now. Damn, why does this feel so good?" "But you said." "Screw what I said." "You are such a commander," Hunter complained. Then, almost shyly, Hunter asked, "You know what I would really like? If it's okay for you, of course." Her frown disappeared. "Oh, sorry. So what then?" Can I do it again? I just want to make love to you while looking into your eyes." She was silent for a long time. He looked at the ceiling, giving her time, so he was surprised again when he heard a sob. He looked at her and saw that she was wiping her eyes. "Hell yes. Yes. Thanks for making me cry, by the way." "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "Those were the sweetest words anyone ever said to me, that's all." Well, you deserve it." "Damn it, I can't believe it." Then, turning to him, she said, "You know you've never been with a man before you, right? Well, until a few minutes ago." Hunter froze. "Is it true?" She nodded. "Wow, Colin, this is a huge honor. I don't know what to say other than thank you, and that I'm really proud that I was able to do this for you." She grinned. "You did not understand?" He blushed. "Well, it seemed like you liked it, but I didn't want to assume." "Hunter, it was amazing. I'm shocked and a little confused, to be honest." Then, shyly, she added, "And yes, I would like to do it again." A long time later, he said, "You know, the next time I ask if you want to go for a ride, it will have a completely different meaning." "Damn you," she laughed. The next morning, they were in the kitchen drinking coffee. He was shirtless because Colleen had put on his t-shirt and nothing else. She was very distracting and embarrassed behind her mug, but he continued anyway. "So what now? Is it time to talk to our partners?" I think yes. I know this was just supposed to be an experiment, but I'm starting to have feelings for you, and I don't know what to do about it. She looked at him worriedly, and he reached out his hand, stroking her knuckles. I feel it too, and I'm starting to have feelings for you. So yes, it's time to have an honest conversation with them. Should we do it at the same time? Yes, I think it will be better this way. Rip off the bandage, she replied. Hunter sighed, nodding. Crap. Colleen looked out the window, biting her finger. She muttered, Wendy won't take this well. Hunter raised his head sharply. Is your girlfriend's name Wendy? Realizing that all this time they never said the names of their significant others, he realized that he always called her bitch, or soon-to-be, and Colleen was naturally reserved when talking about her personal life. She swallowed. Hunter, what's wrong? His face turned white. Colin. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, he muttered. He asked if she had a photograph. When she showed up, he just stared at her. First at the photograph, then at her. Finally, it dawned on Colleen and she groaned, burying her face in the crook of her elbow. Hunter started laughing and couldn't stop. I need to ask, and this is more for me to see if I can get over this. Did you continue to date her? I mean, while we were together. She nodded, clearly in discomfort. Yes, continued. Crap. Sorry, Colonel, it's a strange feeling. Crap. Should I be angry with you? I think I should. But I'm not angry. After all, she was lying to you too. I mean, she still cheated on me, even though she says she wants to stay with me. But I also cheat, although she started first. He laughed briefly. Listen to me. I sound like a 6-year-old. She started it, Mom, he said in a squeaky, childish voice. But it's a little surreal that Wendy and I are both cheating on each other with the same person. He shook his head. I'm more than a little confused. Are you confused? I'm cheating on you and with you. How confusing is this? She looked at him in surprise. They sat for a while, thinking about the situation. Hunter fought the fits of laughter that threatened to burst out. You know, when all this started, your lessons. He looked down and then back at her. That was a pretty stupid idea, wasn't it? Colleen smiled and nodded. Probably. But we were pretty drunk, and for some reason I still don't understand, I became curious. And like I said, I keep my word. And then, I started to like it. Hunter, I loved this, and it threw me for a loop. Well, I certainly didn't feel bad about doing this to you over and over again, but my stupid reason for asking for this? Yes. Not the best moment, and I'm sorry about that, Call. She blushed at the compliment, but waved off the apology. I could have said no at any time, and you would have stopped. I know you well enough for that. He nodded. I will stop. After a minute, he continued, You know, I think I've finally come to the realization that I'm not what Wendy needs, not completely. It doesn't matter how good I am at sex. God, that sounded so shallow. He shook his head. The funny thing is, I never used my new skills on anyone other than you. He squeezed her hand. Anyway, I don't think I can handle constant betrayal. He leaned back in his chair, clasping his fingers behind his head. Isn't it weird that I don't care? She looked at him a little warily, so he moved closer to her and tried to hug her. She shuddered a little, but eventually relaxed and snuggled closer to him, resting her head on his shoulder. Her arms slowly wrapped around his waist. I'm sorry, Hunter, she whispered. I swear I didn't know. SHH, I believe you. But where is your heart? I know we said we were starting to have feelings for each other, but do you love her, and more importantly, can you stay with her knowing what she did? She's been lying to you about the divorce this whole time. For me personally, he continued, I'm sure I've had enough. Karma is probably that she will actually get a divorce. But the strangest thing is that I'm not angry with you, not even a little. I should be, right? I can't explain it. But if you want to stay with her, he took a deep breath. Then I wish you luck and hope that we can remain friends. Colleen burst into tears. Hunter was stunned. She was the strongest woman he knew. He tried to hug her again, But as soon as it started, her tears stopped. Damn, I hate crying. You asshole, Hunter. He stared at her, and she giggled, wiping her eyes. Why do you have to be such a decent guy? It's a pity that I'm gay, because then the decision would be easier. Hunter thought about it. Call, does it matter? Regardless of whether you like men or women. Screw the labels. Your feelings are your feelings, aren't they? She thought about this for a long time. Yes, probably. As for Wendy, I think I'll break up with her too because of the lies. And because I don't think I can continue my relationship with her knowing what she did to you. Like you, I can't be with someone I don't trust. But what you said about feelings and how it affects us, you and me, I need to think about it. Are you suggesting that we could have a future together? He nodded, smiling softly. I really like you, Call. I like you too, you big fool. Give us some time. Certainly. I need to lose 60 kilos first. She laughed and took his hand. Me too. Hunter called Wendy and asked to meet her. Oh yes, please honey, thank you. When do you want to meet? I can cook dinner and... Don't worry about cooking. I'll eat after work. I'll arrive home around 7:30. Oh, okay. If that's what you want, I'll see you then. Wendy returned home early, took a shower, put on her makeup and hair, and put on her most beautiful dress. Then she opened a bottle of wine and thought about what she wanted to say. She had to make him understand. At exactly 7:30, the doorbell rang. Hunter, why are you ringing the doorbell? Then she saw who was with him and turned pale. They stood looking at each other until Hunter asked, Can we come in? This woke her up, and Wendy silently stepped aside. They all sat down and, like a rabbit in a trap, Wendy looked at them. Her eyes darted between them. Finally, Colleen spoke. Wendy, she said, there is no way to soften this. I'm breaking up with you. And I'm leaving you, Hunter added. Wendy fainted. She slowly came to her senses to find Hunter applying a damp towel to her forehead. Colleen was still sitting across from her, arms crossed, just looking at her. She looked regretful but determined. Again, her gaze darted between Hunter and Colleen until she finally settled on Hunter. I don't understand. I'm sorry, Wendy, but the truth is that you wanted both of us, and in the end, you won't get either. Colleen spoke next. You lied to me about the divorce after I said I wouldn't date a married woman. All this time you told Hunter that you wanted to stay married. Sorry, Wendy, but lying is something I cannot accept. And I think I'm falling in love with Hunter. Hunter smiled tenderly at her. I know I'm falling in love with you. I can't explain it. There's just something. He turned to his soon-to-be ex-wife, hoping she would remember using those same words once. But she just sat there with her elbows on the table, her head in her hands, rocking back and forth. This can't be true, she whispered. I told you you needed to be honest, Wendy, more than once. But you didn't do it, and now the decision has been made for you, instead of you making it. Wendy struggled, which slowed down the process. Hunter didn't want to involve Colleen in a legal battle, so he filed for a no-fault divorce. He initially hoped they could just go to arbitration and explained his reasons to Wendy. We don't have much money. Divorce will take a huge toll on our finances. If we go to arbitration, we can move forward without destroying ourselves financially. She didn't care. She wanted to go through the counseling and the whole process. So he had to hire a lawyer and try to minimize the damage. While they were struggling, he told Wendy she could leave the apartment and moved in with Colin to the guest room. Colleen was incredibly patient. They rode to and from work together, shared food, and continued to ride motorcycles. He even convinced her to ride with him in his BMW, which turned out to be surprisingly pleasant. He loved the feeling of her pressed against him from behind as they raced along their favorite paths. After their first trip together, she hugged him and said, It was amazing, Hunter. Your motorcycle is so smooth. I felt like we were floating, especially when I closed my eyes. Don't get me wrong, I love my bike and the adrenaline rush of racing around corners, but I take back what I said about you. It's a wonderful change of pace. They kept their relationship platonic. Of course, they understood that they locked the doors after the horses left, but Colleen especially considered this important. Symbolic, maybe. Through Audrey and her husband Jeff, they joined a small motorcycle club that organized poker games, races, and they often stopped at Harry's bar. Audrey and Jeff became good friends. But in the end, the divorce was finalized. The day Hunter received his papers, they went to a nice restaurant and then a dance to celebrate. He held her close, looking into her eyes, and said, "Colin, I just wanted to thank you for being there for me all this time. I'm truly grateful and honestly don't know what I would do without you." She didn't say anything. She simply smiled, laid her head on his chest, and hugged him tighter. When they returned home, Hunter was in his room getting ready for bed when he heard a soft knock. He looked up and saw a completely naked Colleen standing in the doorway. "Hello," she whispered. Hunter had to swallow twice before he could speak. "Hi," he whispered back. "Do you want to check if last time was an accident?" He could only nod. This was no accident. Wendy kept trying. She begged Hunter to give their relationship another chance. She told Colleen that since she was now divorced, she should give her a second chance. When that didn't work, she tried to convince them to let her move in with them, so they could all be together like they should be. Hunter and Colin, as gently as possible, told her that this would not be the case, and that she might need to see a counselor as soon as possible. Well, this caused her to have a crisis, and she started stalking them. Phone calls, lying in wait outside their cars at work or outside Colleen's home, to the point where they had to get a protective order. After the second violation of the warrant, they felt the need to file charges, and Wendy spent the night in jail. Wendy's parents were no longer alive, so Hunter called her older sister. After explaining everything well, not everything, he said, "Listen, I'm really sorry that everything turned out this way. I know we were never close, but you need to get her before she does something bad. I'm really worried. I'm willing to drop the charges if you can help her get the help she needs." A few days later, she left. About a year later, they heard from Sister Wendy. She said Wendy is still in therapy, but seems to be getting better. She has a new job and is dating someone. Hunter resisted the urge to ask if she dated men or women. It didn't matter. The night Wendy left, she and Colleen sat huddled together on the sofa. She sighed and laid her head on his shoulder. "I feel like a huge weight has been lifted from me. I feel sorry for her, of course." Me too, both of these feelings. They sat together in quiet contemplation until Hunter chuckled. Colleen looked at him questioningly. "What amused you so much, fool?" He continued to laugh quietly. "Sorry, I know it's a little disrespectful after what we talked about, but—" He paused. "But what?" she insisted. "Colin, we need to come up with a story about how we met. No one will believe that I fell in love with the woman with whom my wife cheated on me." She hit him on the shoulder. "Where did this idea come from?" He simply shrugged. She thought for a minute and then said, "You know, maybe you're right. No one will believe that I fell in love with a guy." They both laughed, and she laid her head on his shoulder again. "You can't imagine something like this. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the